Yo sup, congrats that you made it onto this video because in this video I'll be walking you through exactly how to sell so much in 2026 that it literally feels illegal in some kind, and this video is going to be useful for anybody who has some kind of profit-oriented business. It doesn't matter whether that's trading, investing, biz ops, sales, you'll be benefiting from this video. Now, before we start, I suggest you close every other tab that you still have open and get out some kind of notepad where you can write something down, because what I'll be laying out to you in this video is something that has taken me well over 2 years to discover and which I'll pay dearly for in all kinds of master classes and courses. So this is going to be valuable. So log in, really watch this video and apply what I'm about to show you. Now, first of all, you've probably heard this saying that people buy with emotion and justify with logic. This is a general saying that many salespeople already know, that many marketers and business owners already know. However, there's another aspect in this whole emotional and selling process that we need to nail down besides just emotion and logic, like I mentioned, in order to sell as much as possible. And most people miss this for whatever reason. Now, first of all, before we can dig into that, we need to understand what emotional and logical selling even means. When you sell emotionally, you usually try to paint some kind of vivid picture in the mind of your prospect that appeals to their deepest desires or that helps them overcome a fear. Because in marketing, there's a saying that people usually buy products for two reasons: either to achieve some kind of desires that they have, or to overcome a pain or nightmare that they're dealing with. For example, a common example of this, I could name many examples. However, one that shot straight to me is wine, which is primarily sold emotionally, if you haven't noticed already. These companies, they usually try to paint vivid pictures, like I mentioned, of how their exquisite taste profile will hit your palate with a mix of sweet oranges, juicy grapes, whatever it might be, that are handpicked from the best acres across the nation by the best farmers, and so on and so forth. And you'll probably notice when I describe this whole sales process right here, you're probably already thinking about how the juicy grapes, how the sweet oranges will hit your palate, how that wine will taste when you do buy it. And that's what we're trying to achieve when we sell emotionally, to paint vivid pictures in the minds of our prospects. And on the other hand, logical selling helps the prospect justify to himself or to herself and to others why he should buy a certain product. You know, as they say, there are two reasons that somebody buys something. The first is the true reason, and the second is usually the reason that he can tell his significant other. Because when you sell an info product, for example, your prospects are usually thinking to themselves subconsciously something along the lines of, this is really awesome, but how can I justify this purchase? To my significant other, to myself, doesn't really matter. And this usually doesn't happen consciously, it happens subconsciously in the minds of our prospects. And to answer that question, you can inform your prospects about why your product is superior to everybody else. You can also have some kind of feature that your competitors don't have. You could also give him some kind of money back guarantee that puts all the risk off his shoulders. So when he does buy the product, he's able to justify it by saying, oh, these guys, they've got something that nobody else has, so this is a logical purchase. Now, what happens if we successfully sell someone emotionally, meaning we have painted vivid pictures in their minds, and logically on the offer, but they still tell themselves that they check it out later, that they'll check it out when they have time, that they'll get around it someday? Well, that is when the last and most overlooked stage in the sales process comes in: urgency. And simply put, in order to sell as much as possible, in order to get your prospects to take action now, you need to light a fire under their ass. That's what we gotta do to achieve just that. In other words, you need to put a real and believable, this is important, deadline on your offer or prospects will procrastinate buying further. For example, saying that you've only got a limited number of ebooks available is quite a weak agency device because it isn't real and it isn't believable. However, a great urgency device for the same product could be something along the lines of, this ebook is only available to the first 50 people as I don't want to saturate the market for my students. So if you'd like to get your hands on this, you have to take action now because spots can fill up anytime soon. Notice the difference there. The first is a straight up lie and it isn't believable and your prospects will call you out on it. The second, however, is true urgency that is believable and that will work. And if you combine all of these three stages in your sales process, when you have the emotional pull, when you paint vivid pictures in your prospects' minds, when you allow them to logically justify their purchase, and you put genuine urgency behind your offer, you can watch with amazement at how your sales thrive. And that right there is the exact game plan and the exact structure that we need to have in our sales process in order to sell so much it literally feels illegal. We need to sell our prospects emotionally first. We need to paint vivid pictures, this is important, note this down, of our product in their minds. We need to logically justify that purchase with some kind of feature, with some kind of guarantee that our competitors, for example, don't have. And we need to put, and this is what most people miss, we need to put genuine and believable urgency behind an offer. And once you implement all of these stages into one streamlined sales process, it'll be really hard for you not to be raking in cash. Now, I hope you found this video useful in some way. I have a blog that goes way more into detail of how this whole process works, and we also break down a whole bunch of other marketing strategies that you can deploy for your business to consistently and predictably drive sales. It's completely free. You can check it out in the description where you can read few articles. They only take like 10 minutes to read, and I release a new one every single day, so it would be a rather smart move to subscribe. However, I'm cool either way. Just make sure you apply what I showed you in this video, and if you do and you'd like to learn more, click in the description. You can read through my blog that goes way more into detail about this. It's free again, and we'll just go from there, I guess. So I hope this helps. Go ahead and apply the info I showed you, and see ya.